Welcome to NICU Stories. Hey, NICU Story followers. Welcome to another episode of NICU Stories. Today, I have an amazing couple, our first couple, in fact, Olusadas. Did I say anything right?
Yes. Olusadas.
Olusadas. Welcome, you guys. How are you?
We're doing well. Thanks for having us.
Doing good.
Thank you for joining us to share your story with us. So how are you guys? Can you tell us all about your NICU story?
Of course.
All right. To start us off, we got married back in 2013. And during that time, before you're married, you just don't see this coming. Like, you just see honeymoon, you see, your mate is great, and infertility is not something that we expected. So when we encountered it, just like I'm pretty sure a lot of other people, it was hitting. It's like hitting a brick wall. So we were trying for maybe about 2013, obviously 2015. We were trying for about 5 months, and nothing was happening. I know that's a pretty short time. But we went to the doctor, and turned out Diane had PCOS. And so, dealing with that infertility and dealing with that 2.5 years of not knowing, is this going to happen? We had about 6-7 IUIs. That was the initial blow. So in 2017, I don't know if you want to start there.
That's when we started IVF. And we went through our first cycle in February 2017, had about 23 eggs and only one low quality embryo that fertilized. So we went ahead and transferred it, and turns out I did not get pregnant that time. So we took some time off, a couple months, which was a lot for us because typically we were doing cycle month after month after month. So
in infertility world, the reproductive medicine world.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So in June 2017, that's when we did another fresh cycle of IVF, had about 23 eggs, and we had 7 good embryos that made it to blastocyst day 5. Wow. So we did transfer one and we froze the other 6. I did get pregnant, and I found out that I was pregnant on my first pregnancy test in August of 2017. And I was due in, not 27. Well, yeah, 2017.
Mm-hmm. 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And so the baby was due April 2018. Mm-hmm. So come December 20th, 2017, I started feeling contractions, but I just thought it was, I just thought it was cramping, like regular period cramping. Throughout the entire pregnancy, I hadn't experienced any kind of pain or anything that would make me wonder, like, what's going on. But anyway, I did see blood later on that day. Mm-hmm. So I went into the office. Heartbeat was fine. So that was a sigh of relief. And then a vaginal exam was done, and our son's placenta was bulging through my cervix. So they rushed me to labor and delivery.
Wow.
I am currently 23 weeks and 5 days. And 2 hours later, I delivered a 23 weeker, and we named him Elio Bryce Olusada. Mm-hmm. And I did deliver at a hospital that could not take care of him because he was so young. So he had to be transferred in an ambulance once stabilized to the nearest level 4 NICU.
Yeah. And I think, in going through this as the dad, I don't know if there is a description of the feeling that I got, because you're almost at a place where you can't do anything but just be there.
Right.
And you want to do so much, and you're angry, and you're a little anxious because you don't know what your child is going to look like. We didn't know what this journey was going to look like. So we're thinking that the child is going to be beet red and so small, but when he came out, he was so beautiful, as small as he was. And, you know, it was
How much
tough.
did
It
he
was tough
weigh?
for us, Dad. He weighed, I think it was 1 pound, 2 ounces,
Oh,
one pound, 2 ounces.
no. Oh, he was
So
tiny.
he was pretty tiny. He was pretty tiny, but he was beautiful. And you know, my wife did a good job. I don't know how you guys do it, really. You know, so you know, I'm gonna say, you know, I'll leave that job to you guys. But you know, uh, even in that moment of being, you know, not knowing what to expect, it was pretty difficult for me to accept that. You know, we're God fearing couple. So you go through times where, or during that time, just being honest, I was mad. I was mad at God that He would let this happen to us. Um, and you know, you take it really personally. So that was our journey. I think a lot of factors maybe went into him not surviving, being as though that he was at it was a level 2 hospital, some level 3. They weren't ready for a baby that small. So we
Wow.
had to transfer him to Georgetown, which is maybe about 4 miles away, 5 miles away, or something like that. And the doctor said that is probably what kind of gave him a lower chance because of the road, transferring him, moving him around. You know, during that time, the baby is really delicate. So yeah, it wasn't a target I can hit. You know, if I'm speaking to men, you know, if we can see what kind of target we can attack, you know, to solve a problem, that was something that I just didn't have. I'm like, why did this happen? You know, doctors, why did he come early? Or, you know, why are these things happening? And he just had no answers. So looking around for answers and asking why is something that was really discouraging during that time.
I have a question. So, when you were going into labor, did they offer to give you like the magnesium drip to try to stop labor to transfer you to the other hospital before going into labor?
So they did give me a shot. I'm assuming that was the type of shot they gave me. But because my cervix was bulging already, I mean, not my cervix, because the placenta was already bulging through, I could deliver at any time. They didn't know when that would be. And the thing they did not want to happen was me delivering inside the ambulance.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, wow. And how was that? How many days did he spend in the NICU?
9 days. He spent 9 days with us. He had a few good days. I believe Christmas was one of his better days. We spent Christmas in the NICU. Um, and yeah, that was a good day I can reflect on. But the doctors, they really didn't sugarcoat our situation. So the 9 days actually was a blessing. You know, us seeing him and uh, you
Having
know,
that time with him.
spending that time with him, seeing him change a little bit. You know, babies change by the day.
Right, right,
So you know, I'm still thankful that you know we were able to hold him. I know some people who didn't have that chance.
right.
You know, so I am thankful for that. But the emptiness is you know, even in talking about it right now is it's hard actually.
Right. And plus it's still kind of fresh because that wasn't that long ago.
No, ma'am.
Um, how did like if you don't mind talking about it, what happened to him?
So, oh, sure. So he had bilateral level 4 brain bleeds.
Wow.
So his prognosis was severe cerebral palsy. They said it was very likely that he would be a vegetable if he saw this through. They said there was a chance that that might not be his case, but he had a very high chance of not having what we would call a normal child's life. And so after a week, you know, because when the babies are first born, they, you know, their lifeline or their life supply comes through their umbilical cord, but that only lasts a couple of days before it's at risk of getting infected.
Mm-hmm.
So it came time to change to put in a PICC line because he definitely still needed, you know, fluids and everything. He had multiple blood transfusions due to the brain bleed. So he needed more blood. And so with that being done, say.
Well, I mean, when they put in the PIC line, if I can just remember, well, that was for
The PIC line.
that's for blood.
Right now. So the PIC line, they had to change it to that. And so, but the doctor was telling us that she didn't think that he would be able to survive through the procedure. It's about a 20-minute procedure. Said he was very critical, as that's a word they used a lot. And he's very sick.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay. So we thought about it. That night that we thought about it, we did get a call saying that he started throwing up the meconium. So he never pooped it out.
Right.
So he started to vomit. He was already seizuring. He had high blood pressure, and it was just a lot. So I knew that I wanted to have the opportunity to hold him alive. We could not hold him while he was in the NICU because of the type of ventilator that he was attached to. If it was the regular ventilator, then we could, hold him and whatnot, but not with the one he was with. And so my husband and I, we looked at each other, and because you kind of battle whether or not, are you making the selfish decision by saying switch care to comfort because you don't want to, have to take care of such a high needs child? Or are you saying, or do you say, yes, keep going, keep him alive at all costs because we don't want to lose our son?
Right.
Is that the best decision for him? So we did wrestle it a lot. And I think one way that I justify the decision that we made is because in the beginning, we always said, as long as he responds positively to anything that we do, to all of the interventions and all of the help and the medicines, that we will keep moving forward. But the moment that he starts to backslide, that's when we will consider changing care to comfort. And that's exactly what happened. There was a time where I think it was like day 3 where there was air that was collecting over his right lung. Yeah. And so they put in a line, a pin so the air could escape. And then on day 8, that air is reaccumulating.
Wow.
So we've already done something to keep this from happening. And you don't want to put 2 pins in his chest. I mean, it's only but so big.
Right.
And then the PIC line, and I wanted to hold him. So we did make the decision around 6:00 on December 28th, 2017, to switch care to comfort. And they changed him to a different type of ventilator, and the one where we can hold him. So I got to hold him. My husband held him. We read stories to him, and we just, spent the last 6 hours that we had with him.
Yeah. We have pictures, of those moments, and it's thinking back on it. You just never know the emotions that you would have after the fact, because I didn't want to leave that moment. I didn't want to feel what it was like. I wanted my son.
Right.
Some people might, and these are for people who might actually have family members or friends that probably don't mean to say certain things in a mean way or insensitive way. Maybe some, because you don't know their heart. But, when they say things like, well, you can always have another child. You can always try again.
Oh my gosh.
We had people say that. And to be able to have that interaction with another person like that, your heart gets tried, for that situation. You're mad that you have to have that conversation with that person. You're mad that this actually happened to you, to your family. And you go to a place mentally where anger just lives. You almost kind of build a relationship with it instead of just letting it go.
Right.
So even in that, I found myself, even the Bible speaks, it's about anger. How we're not supposed to sin in our anger, so this is an emotion that God created. So what place do I put it now? these are the things I'm just praying about. Where should I
Right.
put this anger? Where should I put this emotion, God? Because this is something that you created. As a matter of fact, we're here and you're letting us go through this. So even now, even when we visit his grave, it's just a cycle of emotions that we both go through. So it's hard to deal with those people. I would say show grace to those people, ultimately, because we haven't always said the same, that haven't said all great things to people, ourselves. So I would say extend grace, because certain people just don't know.
They just don't.
But having that conversation with them to tell them, like, hey, this is a situation where that's those comments aren't helping. So my wife and I, or my husband and I, we're gonna stay together on this. And if we ever have children, then that'll be great. But we need, we need to grieve this one, and we need to go through this loss without thinking about any future babies or future.
Be in a moment.
Yeah, be in a moment, exactly. So
Yeah, I think, like you said, people, they don't know what to say, and like they think they're helping but causing more damage. So that is like a good lesson to say, like, just be mindful of what you say to people, especially in times like this. Um, you mentioned that you guys buried him. Did you have like a funeral for him? Because a lot of parents don't get that opportunity from NICU babies that pass. So
Yeah,
it's interesting.
we did. We had a funeral for him. He's buried in Babyland in his cemetery, surrounded by other babies that
Oh, wow.
were unable to, see it to a year. I think that section is for children 3 and under.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it was a decent size. It was more people than I didn't realize how many people were there, but there was quite a bit. And there was people from the hospital, the people that took care of him.
Nurses,
yeah, his nurses, the 2 neonatologists that were attending while he was in there.
They came?
Yeah, they did. They all came.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, they really did.
Somebody from work.
Yeah, people from my job came.
Yeah.
So
you get to see who's in your corner during that
Yeah.
time as well.
My family.
It's beautiful that your NICU team came, like the neonatologists. You wouldn't think that they were, or they would be so personable like that. But the fact that your team came and supported you, then I know how did that make you feel that your team cared about you, wasn't just a patient?
It made us feel good. And I think that is what helped ease me a little bit when it came time for the second time we were in the NICU, because we went back to the same NICU because our daughter, she was still a micropreemie, 26 weeks and 2 days.
Uh-huh.
So where I was planning to deliver again, could not take her. So I just knew to go straight to Georgetown.
Yeah.
Was she IVF or was she?
So she was a frozen embryo transfer. She
Okay.
was one of the 6 that we froze on Elias Day. So that's good. She came from the same batch that he did, which is really special to us. And we have had conversations, if we did have a kid naturally, before we had an opportunity to use another embryo, would that be something we would want to do? Because 2 is where we're good. But then it's like, if we get pregnant naturally, do we use another embryo just, for sentimental reasons?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we just kind of figure out what we're going to do with those embryos because we have our 2?
And how long after your son were you pregnant, or did you try again for your daughter?
Well, because I was in preterm labor with my son, they said that I had to wait 18 months before I could do any type of transfer. So
was it emergency C-section?
No, I
so
deliver him vaginally. I was in preterm labor.
Oh.
Yeah, contracting throughout the whole time. So I guess you could say I was in active labor for 13 hours before I delivered him. But so we had to wait 18 months. And so 18 months exactly, June 20th, 2019, we transferred an embryo. And I did get pregnant. And that was great.
Well, I mean, it was great that we got another positive test, but when she told me that I remember the day, but she told me we didn't have the jubilee that you think we would have, because
I understand.
you know what I mean? Like you just know it was coming. So I'm like, all right, Lord, this is happening again. So yeah, those emotions came back, when I got the call that, hey, I'm showing some color, and I'm like, come on now. But it was a different outcome. It was a different outcome. God was able to, still some hard days though. We're in the same place, meeting a lot of the same nurses. But the talk of the doctors and the nurses was a lot differently. There she is. I don't know if you hear her.
That's a bundle of joy. We like to hear her. We're happy to hear her.
Yeah, she's feisty. And you know what? When she came out, that's what they said. They said, she is alive and kicking. This is 26 weeks she was kicking.
How much does she weigh?
2 pounds exactly.
2 pounds. Did she have any medical complications?
Breathing was a thing.
Disease?
No, kind of. They said it was lung disease, I guess, when they cannot, when their lungs aren't developed.
Right.
But the doctor said, no, there's nothing to worry about for the future. This is a totally different situation. Okay. We're gonna stay the course. And we had some days where I think a lot of parents have those days where you almost lose them.
Yeah. Where
someone's negligent, where a nurse is or the doctors, they just don't administer the right care, and you have to be, you're the best advocate for your child. And I'm pretty sure you guys heard that, listening to the groups that you guys have, or that, Diane is in, some horror stories. Every nurse or every hospital is not the same. And so we were blessed. We were really blessed to have the doctors that we had, and the people that were just attentive, and they were paying attention, and they were locked in. I always approach it like a sports game. Like, are you locked in? Now, I watch a lot of basketball. You can tell the team who's not locked in, and you can tell the team that is. The team that is usually wins.
Right.
So we came away with a win when we went into the NICU the second time. It was hard, but we did. And a lot of verses that we cling to, or some of the verses that we cling to, I don't know if you want to pull it up, but it was Psalms 103. This is for our first son. It's something that really encouraged us. And Psalms 103, 1-6. And I don't know if you want to read it.
Yes, I can definitely read it. One thing that I would do is I would say this verse every day, and I was able to keep it up for about 1.5 years after he passed away. And I had remembered it. And so wherever it said the word I would replace with his word, his name, Elio. And so Psalm 103, verses 1-6 or 1-5, the way I would read it is, let all that Elio is praise the Lord with his whole heart. Oh, wait, no, that is definitely the wrong translation.
Well, Philippians 4, while she gets that, Philippians 4 was something that I cling to. And it was something that was Philippians 4, 6-9. It says, don't be anxious over anything, which is kind of ironic, because it's like, all right, God, you're telling me not to be anxious in a moment where anxiety lives. I mean, a hospital, a hospital is the most anxiety laced place, because people don't know whether they're going to leave, or whether they're going to, kind of diagnosis they're going to have. So this verse just says, even in verse 4, it says, rejoice in the Lord. It's even telling you to rejoice in these anxiety, in these anxious moments. It says, let your gentleness be evident to all. I said, the Lord is near. Don't be anxious over anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. So this is something that we cling to during those times. And it was really encouraging to hear other people's stories. Mothers were there. There were some fathers that was also there in the NICU. The second time around, saw a lot more people. And this is right before the pandemic. So we went home the day before they shut everything down. We went home
Just in
March,
time.
what was it? March
18th.
March 18th. Yep. March 18th.
What were your thoughts when you realized you were going into preterm labor? I know you said that you made the decision to go to Georgetown, but what were you thinking when you're like, again?
Well, so I was actually contracting throughout the day and didn't know it. I thought it was Braxton Hicks. You know, I hadn't made it this far to 26 weeks. I mean, once we hit 26 weeks, I felt like we got to the point where we could like really breathe, because I was being monitored every 2 weeks by maternal fetal medicine. My cervix was always, 3.5 or longer. So there were absolutely no concerns. So I'm thinking it's Braxton Hicks because I have no pain. So I'm feeling the cramping sensation, but I feel no pain. I said, yes, Braxton Hicks, give it all to me. Can't wait for the swollen ankles, all of that, right? So then I went to the restroom, and then I saw like what could mimic a mucus plug, right? I don't know if that's really what it was. There's a little bit of pink in there. So I said, you know what? Told my mom, I said, hey, mom, sis, if you get a call from me today or tonight about I'm going to the hospital, don't be surprised. I just saw this, but I'm sure I'm fine. It's just Braxton Hicks. And then so my mom said, well, let's let the hospital tell you that, just so you have peace of mind. So that's what had encouraged me to go to the hospital. I knew which one to go to because of our past experience. So we get there during like 10 minutes before shift change. So I meet one whole team of nurses and then a whole nother team of nurses. So it's like, we did shift change. I'll be taking care of you tonight. So I said, okay. But anyway, the doctor comes in to evaluate me, ask what I was experiencing and whatnot. And so when she checks my cervix, her face did not look like she had good news. And she told me I was 4 centimeters dilated.
Wow.
So I was in fact contracting in active labor. Yeah. And so that was around 8:00 that day. And then so Ianu was born at 4:44 a.m. on December 2nd, 2019. So both of my children sandwiched me because my birthday is December 10th. So her birthday is December 2nd and his birthday is December 20th. And then their 2 days, it's either 02 or 20.
Oh, wow.
I'm like into patterns and stuff. So
that's so interesting though.
Yeah, but like her labor was very traumatizing because I know what the past experience was. I cried throughout her entire labor, the entire time. I didn't want to push, but they told me that if I didn't push, I could injure her. So of course I would push then, right? But yeah, I cried throughout the entire thing, and I was robbed of the experience of enjoying that part of her journey because all I could think about was, no, I'm going to lose this one too, because I only knew one way out of the NICU, and that was without a baby.
Look at her. She's so cute.
Are you going to say thank you?
Adorable. I wish you guys could see her. She's beautiful. And how old is she now? She's not even 2 yet, right?
She's not even 2. She'll be 2 in December.
She's adorable. She's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much. I can imagine that trauma, going, having my son, even though he was full term, but, with him being diagnosed with Hirschsprung's disease and knowing I had to go back to the NICU, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And even though his stay was a lot shorter, his stay was only like 10 days. It was the hardest 10 days for me. My daughter was there for 4 months, but having to go back to the NICU and knowing you have to go back thinking like, oh my God, I finally had a full-term baby. I'm not going to have to experience that. We're going to go home. And it was traumatic for me. And I often wonder why, when you see like repeat parents going to the NICU, why a counselor isn't readily available for them, because NICU PTSD is very real. Did anyone offer counseling for you going through the NICU the second time?
Yes.
Even the first time?
Yes.
Oh, great.
So at our particular NICU, there is a foundation ran by one of it's actually owned by one of the PTs that are in the NICU, but she named it after her daughter. It's called the Juliet Foundation. and they do programs for NICU families. And one of the services that they have available in that particular NICU is a therapist that comes in once or twice a week to just talk with mothers and fathers and families in the NICU, whether it's just a passing by type thing. You can also schedule time with her. I was always there, so she always knew to come by and by Ianu's bedside to see, you know, if I was there. And so oftentimes we talked. And one of the first times that I had talked to her, one thing that I really shared with her was that I just felt robbed of my experience of being pregnant. And I didn't think that it was fair. And I was very bitter because I was pregnant twice, but never saw a third trimester. And I didn't think it was fair at all. And I was just, you know, I was very upset when I thought about that. And like sometimes seeing a belly can still be triggering. Someone saying that they're in third trimester can still be triggering to me, surprisingly.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so it was, but thank goodness that it was there. I would say I would say I felt more included when I was there the second time around, when I delivered there, because I got to know some of the nurses in labor and delivery versus being transferred over there. I feel like when I was transferred over there, I didn't really know a lot that was available to me, and no one really took the time to tell me what was available to me. Whereas the second time, because I delivered there and I was there for 2 days, because the first time, you know, I was in recovery for less than 24 hours before I was discharged so that I can go to the hospital he was at. Wow. So being able to stay in a hospital room for 2 days, you know, and just be down the hall from the NICU was very, very, very convenient.
Right.
Yeah. And so after I was discharged, I did stay another day in the NICU parent room that they had.
Oh, okay.
Which was very, very convenient because I wasn't ready to leave the hospital yet. I said, no, let's just stay one more night. So that was good. But yes, there was someone to talk to. They had a lot of different programs. Toward the end of our time there, they had like an art therapist come in, and she started working on a book with me, like where you like tear out sheets of the book just to like input stuff, and kind of like a scrapbook.
Wow.
I feel like I definitely would have benefited that if I would have seen her when I first got in there, because I just had all these emotions that I needed to release. But I still think that was good. So the NICU we were at, they had a lot of things that I'm finding out aren't typical. And I think, and I think the Juliet Foundation has a lot to do with that. So,
well, kudos to them, because that sounds like someone who understands the NICU and really thought about what the need is. I notice a lot of foundations, they provide things outside of the NICU, but it's while you're in there where there's the definite need, and someone really thought about that. Maybe some or other organizations will start incorporating that in their services, but the ones that I've worked with, they really helped on the outside of the NICU, but not while you're in it. And having a therapist is golden. Did you talk about, the loss of your son and not wanting to be there the second time, and how did they help you through that process?
Yes, they did. And one thing that was pointed out was, I want you to experience the pain and the trauma and any kind of emotion that you're getting when you think of your son. But I also don't want you to allow that to hinder you from celebrating the little wins that your daughter is making right here, right now in the NICU.
Right. I love that. Would there be any advice that you would give to any parents who've experienced loss from the NICU?
For any parent that has experienced loss, yes. One thing I realize is that every situation is different. Just because that's what happened the first time doesn't mean that's what's going to happen the second time. I would also say to mourn your loss. Take the time that you need to mourn that, because that's very real. It's a violation of our expectation. Our expectation is that our children will bury us, not that we will bury our children.
Right.
And that is something that you experienced, whether you had to make the decision for that to happen, or whether or not, it's just what happened, and it's okay. And feel experience that, get through it, and then also know that it's not the end. It's not over. Surround yourself with the community of people who've been through it as well. I have found that to be extremely helpful. More advice that we would give parents who have lost a baby in the NICU might be.
That was a good setup. I like that.
She set you up very well.
I just got back for everybody who didn't know. Man, just talk.
Especially for dads.
Yeah, especially for dads. I didn't want to talk to anyone. The first time I'm in the NICU, I'm just upset. I'm just basking in my anger, And I just had another guy that was there, and we're still friends to this day. We're still friends with that couple, and he was there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, from 2017. Big tall guy. And the first thing he says to me when I see him is, "Hey man, what's going on? Hey, yeah, so what's going on? What's your issue?" Just that was his question. What's your issue? What's the problem? And I was just, and I just felt so I felt like a little kid at that moment. Man, this is going on, and the doctors are telling me this, and I just felt like just pouring my heart out, because that's what I needed. I needed just someone to talk to, and so we talked, and I got a lot of my stuff out, and I felt better. Didn't change the situation, still got to go through it, but I felt better because I was able to get things out verbally, and able to say, okay, maybe I can get this out, maybe I can add some more good thoughts in my head, so I can ask the doctor. Maybe some things could go better if my head is clear instead of just so wrapped up in the situation. And just be present. Yeah. Be present to, with your wife. Be there for them in any way that you can, even if it's just you're just there physically. Not saying anything. Ask them how you want to be there for them. And just be present. Don't check out. Don't get on your phone and get busy with work or other affairs, because you got to go through this. If you can help it. I know some people just have different situations with money and jobs, but try to be as present as you can. Fathers, really, because the child needs that as well.
I absolutely love that you said the fact that you were able to talk about it and left room for you to bring in some more positive thoughts, so that you can really be in the moment and present and be able to interact and engage with the doctors as far as your daughter's care is concerned. A lot of dads felt like they weren't able to talk to anybody. They felt like nobody cared about how they felt. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that and you experienced that, to really show how when we are just mindful of other people and just saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" Because I'm pretty sure he didn't give you much advice. He just was a good listening ear, it sounds like.
Yeah, he was going through his stuff. So he said, "Hey man,
that's all you need.
Let's go ahead and get this out."
Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned that, because it goes a long way, a listening ear. And sometimes we don't know what to say in response, but just know that just asking that one question, like, "How are you doing?" or "What's going on with you?" goes a long way for people. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Did you guys have a village while you were going through the NICU process?
Yeah, I would say we did. When we were there the first time, my family was there every single day. His mom did. She came down. She was down the next day. She was in Philly. And so, and we're in DC. So she came down the very next day. She was down here in the morning, and she stayed, saw that the time that he was going to be in there was going to be a little longer, changed her ticket so she could stay a little longer. And then that night, it was my family that was there with us. And then I had the community on Instagram. I call them my infertility community, my TTC sisters. They were all there too. Even though I didn't share anything about his birth or passing until after everything had subsided.
I love that you mentioned that community, because I have to say Instagram has, I want to say, the largest and most supportive community when it comes to NICU and IVF and just parenting and mommy community. Um, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it's a big help, especially in this day and age. I didn't really have that when my daughter was in the NICU, but I wasn't big on Instagram either. I recently just became big on Instagram, but having that community of people to support you. And the beautiful part about it is these are complete strangers, but we all have a common story and a common experiences that knits us together and allows us to avail ourselves to be of a support to other people. Is there anything that you all are doing on social media in regards to IVF or the NICU, or just your personal businesses that you have going on that people can follow you and follow your story?
Well, I'm not that big on social media myself, but my wife is definitely a good personality.
I am. I definitely am, because I'm there supporting other NICU moms and other moms with infertility. I just feel like it's hard when you're in the NICU journey. It's hard to know what you need. You don't really know what you need until you're no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second time we were in there, I found myself being more of a support system to the other moms who were in there for the first time. And I walked out with 3 good friends from Ianu's experience. She was in there for 108 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you know, she gets the opportunity to hang out with those moms. But I am on Instagram. It is me, TTC, in weight loss journey. In between each word, it's an underscore. But my name is DCO because I am a high school teacher. Don't want my students finding me because my account is public. Because right. So I feel like it's really important to have a public account so that, because when people are looking, it's no use if they can't find you for that support. So it is public. And so I just don't have my real name on there, not because I am being anonymous from people, friends and family, because they all know, but just because I don't want my students to find me prematurely.
That makes sense. I would advise everyone who is listening to definitely connect with Diane and her husband. Say your name again. Ade. Definitely connect with them, because they have such an incredible story, such an incredible testimony, and Diane has availed herself to be a support to this community. So definitely connect with them on Instagram. Are you on Facebook as well?
I'm there, but I'm not active at all.
Not active. No. Yeah, definitely connect on Instagram. Instagram just seems like the place to be when it comes to building a community and wanting to find a community in either IVF, pregnancy loss, loss of a child, angel babies, rainbow babies, whatever your story may be. Definitely connect with them, because they have such an incredible heart and an incredible ministry, and definitely want to connect with them to help you along your journey or to even get advice. I'm pretty sure Diane is going to be able to help you and support you in that way. I thank you so much, guys, for sharing your story, because your story is not the easiest story to have to share, but it's still a beautiful story. And I thank you that you had the strength and the courage enough to share your story, to be a blessing and to help other parents who are probably going through the same thing that you have gone through, or trying to find a way to get through it. Can you say, before we close, can you say what helped? I know you mentioned scriptures, but what helped you with the healing process of the loss of your son?
One thing that's really helped me is just being open and honest about it and sharing, reaching out to other mothers who have had to make a similar decision. Even though I've gone through it, sometimes I'm still at a loss for words. And so one thing that I've also done is trying to help people who have friends that are going through the journey, just kind of giving them tips and tricks onto how to navigate their interactions with their friend that's currently in the NICU or their family that's currently in the NICU, because I found a lot of people walking on eggshells. And that wasn't comforting at all during that time. It kind of felt like, you know, people made me feel like I had a disease. Kind of like, well, I don't know. So I think talking about it and then helping others navigate how to interact with people experiencing it. And then just, every now and then my husband and I, we talk about him like he's still here. We got a bear. One of my friends found Molly Bears, which is an organization named after a baby that had passed away. The mom started it, and it's teddy bears that weigh the same weight as your baby. So he was 1 pound 2 ounces, no, 1 pound 13 ounces. And so the bear weighs 1 pound 13 ounces. Wow. And so that's also been helpful. We have a tangible piece to represent him. Yeah. And so the bear has been in all types of pictures, any type of family picture that we've taken. Yeah. Iana, she plays with it. And it's been good. I mean, one day we'll tell her the significance behind the bear, so maybe she won't treat it so mean. But but what do little sisters for? That's what they do, right?
Right.
Yeah, and also just good old fashioned time.
Yep.
Time is just going to heal it, and you got to go through it. So think of this as something that is going to, and I know this kind of cliche, what don't kill you make you stronger. And I don't really use those like that, but I know time would definitely heal the horror stories, and like my wife said, talking about it and just being open and honest about what happened. That is a good advice. Definitely got to get all that out. I kind of think about the movie The Green Mile, where John Coffey, I don't know why I said it with an accent. Coffee, he would take the people's negative energy or negative diseases, and he would digest it, and he would disperse it into the air. It was gone. The person would be healed.
Yeah.
And so when he would let that out, it was so profound to me in seeing that. If you guys haven't checked out that movie, it's a really good movie, and that's how I represent this. These stories, these journeys that we go through. You just gotta let the negativity out so that good stuff can get in.
So, I love it. Yeah. I say go ahead.
And I would just say healing doesn't mean forgetting. You will never forget. You'll always remember it as if it happened yesterday. And, your child still lives through you. And the memories that you have, whether they are few and far in between because you didn't get much time to share with them, but every piece matters. But I also want to put out there that it doesn't matter how long you've been in the NICU, whether it was 24 hours or a whole year, a couple months. Yeah. The NICU is a traumatizing place no matter how long you're there.
Yes, it is.
And so I want those moms to know who haven't been in the NICU for months, maybe just a week. I want them to know that they are very much a part of the community, and that no one in the community is going to shun them out and say, well, you weren't there that long, so your story doesn't matter. That's not true. It does matter. We will welcome you with open arms, because going to the NICU is not a part of the expectation. You're pregnant for 9 months. You deliver your baby, you take your baby home in 2 days, and you raise them. Right. No one ever says, or no one ever plans to stop by the NICU, especially full-term. I realize that there are more full-term babies that make it into the NICU than micro preemies.
Right.
So
for medical conditions, that's why I say like the most traumatizing part about the NICU is, and it's the initial blow, the fact that you go home and your baby has to stay in this hospital by themselves.
Yeah.
That has to be, so it doesn't matter if they were only there for a day or if they were there 2 days. That in itself is a traumatizing thought and experience for any parent. And that's when it hit hard for me. And that's why I believe the second time, even though it was only 10 days, just was the hardest 10 days ever for me, knowing that I had to go through this again. And especially with a full-term babies, you're like, yes, I done made it through this pregnancy. Yeah. We done got through all the trimesters, but we in the NICU again? Like, how does that work? So I totally agree with you 100%. But once again, I thank you so much for sharing your story and availing yourselves for other NICU parents and pregnant parents who have experienced loss, especially loss from the NICU.
Before we close, I just wanted to say that I think one of the things that really helped us was realizing that both of us were going through the journey together, and that Ade was not my enemy. And so he did not deserve to get any of my aggression or any of my anger, and vice versa. We were on the same team. We had the same purpose, and we learned to work together. And we have been a part of the fortunate people that this experience brought us closer as a couple, as a married couple.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for inputting that.
So true.
I love it. Thank you again to the Olusadas who decided to share their story with us. Definitely connect with them on Instagram. Follow them. I believe just Diane's on Clubhouse, right?
Yes, on Clubhouse. DCO again, but it's L4DYDEE. That's like Lady D, but the A is a number 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's my name on Clubhouse.
Definitely follow her on Clubhouse and any rooms that she's hosting or she's a part of, just to connect with her. And once again, I thank you all for tuning in to this episode of NICU Stories. Have an amazing day. If you want to share your story on NICU Stories, definitely reach out to us at admin@NICUstories.com and connect with us on Instagram at NICU.stories and Facebook NICU Stories. Thank you all. Love you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.